where it was to where it is now because of the opportunities Empower has actually given me and the facilities they provided us, whereby we are going to schools, partnering with the teachers, training the children on sustainable agricultural practices. We have a lot of youth, women and children who benefited from our platform. Even what I'm doing on a small scale has actually brought me a lot of local and international recognition. Currently, I won the Nigerian American Partnership Award and the US Consular General Award based on what I'm doing right from my community here.
People always try to protect themselves from danger. When one sees a car coming towards his or her direction at speed, one runs away from such danger in order to be safe. Safety is the responsibility of every person. At home, safety precaution is key, as most fire incidents are caused by careless usage of home appliances like electric cookers, pressing irons, gas cookers, to mention just a few. There are various means of cooking like using stove, electric cookers, firewoods, charcoal, and gas cookers.
I use stove for cooking. The challenges I have, I don't know for other people, is kerosene. But when you use it wisely, you will enjoy the stove, just like other people enjoy using gas.
I love using gas because it's faster. So and since ever I've started using it, I've not encountered any trouble or any accidents.
Cooking is often a relaxing and fun task for some people, but without safety tips in mind, it is one of the major causes of home fire.
The full meaning is liquefied petroleum gas. It is a byproduct of natural gas processing and petroleum refining. It is also a mixture of hydrocarbon gases made up of hydrogen and carbon. We have two varieties of gas, what we call propane and butane. Propane is normally used in cold areas of Europe and America, while butane is used in Nigeria. But that butane that is used in Nigeria, there's a proportion of mixture of propane also, because propane is highly inflammable. So you add 20% to make it to burn fine.
In this busy world, everyone wants faster means of doing things, but the issue is how many people are mindful of safety precautions in using liquefied gas to cook.
We know gas, basically it's leakages, depending on the particular gas you're using, the size of cylinder at which you're using. You know, they have the direct burners, which are like the 3 kg, the 5 kg, and the 6 kg. They're the direct burners. If you can avoid leakages, it's okay. Very much okay, yeah.
It's safer, especially if the house is your own, it is safer to keep it outside and run a hose. There's what we call gas reticulation, whereby you can use copper wire to run your connections in the house. It is also very, very safe. It is good that you give, but we have two types of cylinder. We have composite and steel cylinder. Composite will never explode, so you can keep that one comfortably in your house. If there's any event of fire, it will just melt. That one is like a rubber, it's a fiber.
Today, it seems more people use gas cookers to cook. It is said to be a fast and efficient way to cook, and they come in different sizes.
Using gas is faster, but my husband does not like gas.
Why?
For so many reasons, getting house burnt and every other thing, and you having a child going towards the gas. But when you are, maybe that person has a grown-up children, is allowed to use gas. So I prefer the two.
Many people, they are afraid of using gas because they said it's burnt house, at least it's easy to catch light. I didn't believe so.
Some people like using long hoses. Some people like using long hoses. It is not allowed. You use a very short hose that is feasible and secured without joints. You don't join hose. because if you join hose, there will be incidents of leaks here and there. Also, these hoses are not allowed to overstay. At least if you use a hose 6 months or 1 year, you change. Whether it has leak or not, you have to change because it's weak already.
Cooking can be fun, but kitchen safety is priority. Think safety. Be extra careful while cooking.
From the largest television network in Africa, the NTA, we bring to you Weekend File, where we seek the views of experts, government functionaries, movers of the economy, and the ordinary Nigerian on developmental challenges confronting the nation in an era of diversification, the process that is meant to reinvigorate all aspects of our national life in education, science, technology, and innovation, agriculture, health, and other aspects of societal development. The Weekend File crew has the onerous task of articulating all the issues, ensuring that all perspectives are brought to the table. On the show, all things matter and opinions of every class count. Weekend File shows every Saturday at 9 p.m. on the NTA network service. It is your weekend companion and a destination for news, views, and analysis. It is unmissable.
My name is Orioye Benedict Baishimure. I am a native of Odunje Mitale community, Odola in the Ilaja local government area. I am an Empower beneficiary and teach, to be precise. Empower has seriously impacted into my business and my local community. Before the advent of the Empower program, I didn't really have the initiative of starting the business like this. And as it is now, everybody around the community is interested to work with me because of the value addition that I've added into the business. I got some of this idea through the Empower tab, the tab that was given to us. The thing has really helped my local community. The most important thing is that it has really changed the mentality of the graduates in my community.
The sunflower, Helianthus annus, is an annual plant in the family Asteraceae with a large head capitulum. The stem of the flower can grow up to 3 meters tall with a flower head that can be 30 centimeters wide. The flower head is actually an inflorescence made of hundreds or thousands of tiny flowers called florets. The central florets look like the center of a normal flower and the outer florets look like yellow petals. Altogether, they make up a false flower or pseudanthium. The benefit to the plant is that it is easily seen by the insects and birds, which pollinate it, and it produces thousands of seeds. The sunflower is the state flower of Kansas. That is why Kansas is sometimes called Sunflower State.
Sunflower is another beautiful plant. Its flowers are usually very big, and like it's called sunflower. It does well during a dry season. It can also do well even rainy season. So it's not a seasonal plant. But where it blossoms fine is during a dry season.
To grow well, sunflowers need full sun. They grow best in fertile, wet, well-drained soil with a lot of mulch. The outer petal-bearing florets are the sterile florets and can be yellow, red, orange, or other colors. The florets inside the circular head are called disc florets, which mature into seeds. The flower petals within the sunflower's cluster are always in a spiral pattern. Generally, each floret is oriented towards the next by approximately the golden angle, which is 137.5 degrees, producing a pattern of interconnecting spirals, where the number of left spirals and the number of right spirals are successive Fibonacci numbers. Typically, there are 34 spirals in one direction and 55 in the other. On a very large sunflower, there could be 89 in one direction and 144 in the other. While the vibrant, strong sunflower is recognized worldwide for its beauty,
flowers generally is life. It's good to have flowers everywhere. They are wonderful. If you have a flower in your house, it shows that you are living healthy. Because if your house is stuffed and when you have a flower there, it tell you there's something wrong with your house. Like I have a flower in my house that actually showed me that my house was stuffy. I need to open up. So flowers are very good.
It is also an important source of food. Sunflower oil is a valued and healthy vegetable oil, and sunflower seeds are enjoyed as a healthy, tasty snack and nutritious ingredient to many foods. Once the flower heads are empty of seeds, they can be converted into disposable scrubbing pads for jobs too tough for your cleaning tool. Planting to leap a few to display in a vase, if you wait until the afternoon, they may wilt.
I am Alioha Emmanuel Nhechinaise. I'm from Imo State. My husband is from Abia State. I reside here in Ijebode, Ogun State, in Irenwo community. I've been a cassava farmer, and I noticed there is not much money in cassava farming alone. So when I heard about Empower program, I applied for it, and they gave me the opportunity to be part of it. It was from Empower program that I learned how to process cassava tubers to cassava fufu flour. This Empower program is the best thing that happened to me within these 2 years. I've really learned a lot, and I've really gained a lot from it. It was from my stipend that I bought my equipment that I'm using to process cassava flour today. I'm grateful to the federal government for giving us the device. I've really learned a lot from it, from the application and all that.
Are you an entrepreneur? You have an existing business or a great business idea? Then, Africa's Young Entrepreneurs Empowerment Nigeria is a program for you, where thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs will be empowered with business funding, mentorship, specialized skills training, and equipment. To register for the IEN program, visit www.ayen.ng. Fill in your personal details and business details. Check your mail regularly for your screening date and location. Follow us on all social media platforms for updates. For more information, visit www.ayeonline.org or call 0700 044 4444. IEN 2018, showcasing and empowering Nigerian entrepreneurs.
My name is Mrs. Ajala Olushola. I'm one of the food vendor for the school, home-grown school feeding. This is where I do my cooking every morning before I take the food to school. I heard of it from the media. It was announced that those who are interested should apply. And I applied for it, I was screened, then I was chosen to serve. Then the financial aspects of it, I now benefit from it, unlike when I was idle at home. Apart from that, the homegrown school feeding has exposed me to meeting a lot of people. Thereby, my own business as a caterer can now increase.
Education is key to success, and to obtain quality education requires adequate funding. That's exactly where we go tonight on this edition of Weekend File. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund was established as an intervention agency under the TedFund Act of 2011, repealing the Education Tax Act 2004 and the Education Tax Fund Act of 2003. TedFund is charged with responsibility for monitoring, managing, and disbursing education tax to all the public tertiary institutions in Nigeria. The fund administers the tax imposed by the Act and disburses the amount to tertiary educational institutions at federal and state levels. It also monitors the projects executed with the funds allocated to the beneficiaries. Some specific areas of focus include essential infrastructure for teaching and learning, instructional materials and equipment, academic staff training, and promoting creative and innovative approaches to educational learning and services. The operational cause of TedFund was captured in its mission, which is to provide focused and transformative intervention in public tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Now, how has this agency been discharging its responsibilities since its establishment? In what areas are the nation's higher institutions of learning benefiting from the fund? What are the encumbrances militating against some institutions gaining access to their allocated funds? With TedFund in operation since 2011, why the continued clamor by ASU for improved infrastructure in public schools? We will seek answers to those questions late in the program. Our guest today is Dr. Ablahe Bafa Bichi, Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Fund, TedFund. My name is Kurian Layo, and this is Weekend File, where we tackle developmental issues of our time. We thank you for tuning in, and the news is next. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed deep shock over the killing of the military personnel in Metele village of Borno State by Boko Haram terrorists. He assured that immediate measures are being taken to ensure that the loopholes which led to the fatalities are blocked once and for all. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President said his administration remains committed and focused on the security of military personnel and other citizens. According to the President, no responsible commander-in-chief would fold his hands to allow terrorists to endanger the lives of its military personnel and other citizens. President Buhari reassured Nigerians of his continued commitment to their security and of his efforts to sustain the momentum in the previous significant successes recorded against the terrorists. He further advised Nigerians against making a political capital out of national tragedy, stressing that members of the armed forces are one family who are commonly committed to the security and safety of all Nigerians. Members of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative have commended the federal government's steps towards banning importation of NPK fertilizer. This is coming as they appeal for legislation that will ensure penalty against production and distribution of fake and substandard fertilizer in the country. Musa Babaliu has that report.
The Presidential Fertilizer Initiative came on board under this administration with a view to ensuring that farmers have access to input in good time and at affordable prices. The initiative allows private sector participation in the production and marketing of fertilizer across the country. Survey shows that more than 1 million tons of NPK fertilizer was produced to farmers for this year's rainy season.
Because of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative has helped to stimulate investment in blending plants, blending factories. So you have more blending plants today. And these blending plants today together have a combined capacity of about 4 million tons. So why do you need to import?
Key players in the production and distribution of the input are of the view that without proper legislation guiding input supply, fake products will continue to flood the market.
It is happening because we don't have a law that can bite as far as controlling, penalizing people who are involved in faking fertilizers.
With the passage of the bill, all the stakeholders will be better protected. The stakeholders like the producers, the fertilizer manufacturers, the marketers, the farmers are going to be well protected because when it is passed now, we now know what constitutes offense and the commensurate penalty.
A bag of 50 kilograms of fertilizer, 5,500 naira, as against 12,500 naira before the coming of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
In its drive to promote healthy living and made in Nigeria goods, Erisco Food Limited, one of the Nigeria's indigenous manufacturing companies, has launched its new set of improved natural products in Lagos. Let's get the story from Annie Daniels.
The years, individuals and organizations have employed several channels to ensure adequate production and supply of food. This was what prompted the Chief Executive Officer of Erisco Foods Limited, Eric Omofia, to delve into the production of tomato paste called Rikjiko tomato paste. Not relenting in its vision, the company has gone beyond producing just a tomato paste to other products like Najiko sugar, drinks and lots more. To ensure that consumers get value for money, Erisco Foods Limited launched its new natural Erisco, Rikjiko and Najiko brands of tomato paste, Najiko 3-in-1 Gari mix, first of its kind, and Erisco milk cubes, all made in Nigeria and affordable.
Our Gari is a special one. It's now become meal, not ordinary Gari again. When you added milk and sugar, milk has about over 20 vitamins, and sugar gives strength. So with it together, it's a full meal. You can manage yourself for longer time, and even makes you to keep to your weight better.
Omofia added that implementing the ban on importation of tomato paste and sincerity of all concerned authority in the federal government's desire to make Nigeria an industrialized nation is pertinent to grow the nation's economy. Consumers and distributors of the products attest to their authenticity.
With Erisco tin tomatoes, that's so customers they rush. The food not they even waste time, it don't finish.
The event provided a platform to unveil the brand's new ambassador, Chuama Chukukakpota. Erisco Foods began operations in 2009 in Lagos. Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji-Fashola, says the federal government has commenced audit of construction sites across the country to ascertain the level of compliance with Executive Order 5, targeted at improving local content. The minister said this when he represented President Muhammadu Buhari at the anniversary colloquium of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in Abuja. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday was there.
The Executive Order 5, which was recently issued by the present administration, is to maximize the economic benefits of the federal government's infrastructural development for the benefits of Nigerians. Speaking at the colloquium, which is the 60th in series, Mr. Fashola said the audit committee had conducted a snap audit of 77 work construction sites and 50 housing sites.
I speak of projects like the Kano-Maiduguri Highway, the Enugu-Port Road, the East-West Road, the Lagos-Ibadan Highway, the Benin-Okene-Lokoja Highway, the Second Niger Bridge, and the local Oweto Bridge, to mention a few.
President of the society, Adekunle Mokolu, who commended the federal government for undertaking massive infrastructural renewal program of abandoned projects for decades, calls for the cooperation of its members towards the full implementation of the order.
Executive Order 5 entails a provision and government's focus that Nigerian professionals will be in charge, will be the lead in anything that is happening in this country. Very thankful to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, for really helping the Nigerian engineers to have this opportunity.
The President himself is a friend of engineers. He has been a friend for a long time. As a matter of fact, he's an honorary fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. And honorary fellowship is granted to people who have provided exceptional services to the engineers without themselves being engineers. So, and in 60 years, we don't have up to 20 honorary fellows.
The colloquium is aimed at re-engineering the engineers for optimum national economic growth and development. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
While rescue efforts continue in search of those trapped under the collapsed 7-story building in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State government has reminded those whose careless actions led to the said incident that the dictates of the law regarding the matter will be interpreted to the latter. Unconfirmed but reliable sources say 22 persons have been rescued with 2 casualties. Ifeoma Omesa tells us more.
The 7-story building under construction collapsed on the workers. Rivers State Deputy Governor Ipalibo Harry Banigo and members of the State House of Assembly, led by the Majority Leader, Martis Emewule, were at the scene to appraise the development.
We believe that there is need for them to keep working, but that does not mean that more effort should not be made. We are still calling on other spirited individuals, companies, anybody that can assist. Anybody, this is an emergency situation, nobody planned for it.
Our prayer is that there will be no more dead bodies that will come out of here. And then after we have saved the lives, we can now begin to look at what caused this structure to collapse.
Officials of NEMA and other stakeholders were jointly working to ensure that those still trapped are eventually rescued.
Underground here. So we want to see how we can get an opening here and then see if we can get people out of here.
The person that saved a life ambulance carried to the BMH is my wife's younger brother. His name is Kingdom Ndubeze Ejila. He's dead. Right now he's in the mortuary.
Efforts are still on to rescue persons under the rubble, as at present time, effort to ascertain the owner of the property has not yielded results. In Port Harcourt, Ifoma Omisa, NTA News.
Well, that's indeed an unfortunate situation there in Port Harcourt. Now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has reiterated the need for Nigerians to work in unity with the federal government in its bid to transforming the country for the better. The Vice President made the call at the centenary celebration of the Christ Apostolic Church worldwide, held in Ikeji, Arekeji in Ogun State.
For members of the Christ Apostolic Church, working with God in the last 100 years calls for celebration. Though it has not been all smooth in the last 100 years, as the church had one time or the other rocked with challenges, but it has remained strong. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo identifies this as the way forward, noting that the church must at all times brace up for the great challenge of correcting the ills in the society.
It is our duty and our manifest destiny to change our country, to change the narrative in our country. It is to the church that God has given the power and the responsibility to transform nations. Romans 8 verse 19 says that the earnest expectations of the creation eagerly awaits the revealing of the sons of God. In other words, all of creation in this country, all that is wrong in our country, is waiting for the revealing of the sons of God.
The Vice President commended the leadership of the Christ Apostolic Church for continuing to hold forth the work of discipleship in the last 100 years. President of the Church, Abraham Akinosun, lauds the federal government's vision to make the country great again.
Continue to pray for the success of the coming election.
The church also decorated the Vice President for being a shining light in Christendom and also prayed for the country. In Ikeji Arekeji, Osun State, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Nigerian youths have been urged to take a standpoint not to be used by politicians to cause violence, especially during the 2019 general elections. The Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Mohammed Saad Abubakar III, gave the advice at the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council Youth Wing 2nd National Youth Summit in Abuja. Lydia Odije Ochi reports.
The 2019 general elections is fast approaching with high expectations as Nigerians look forward to a successful conduct of the elections. As religious leaders call for decorum and mutual respect from political actors, the youth wing of the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council have added their voice for a peaceful atmosphere during and after the elections. Religious leaders were emphatic on the role of security operatives to achieving this goal.
We don't have any preferred candidate for any elected post. Everybody is our candidate. The president said he would rather lose election than rig. So I take note of what the president said. security agencies, especially the police. Police.
We pray that the youth will not be able to emulate the partnership, the interaction, the spirit of love that is amidst us, so that you, the youth, who really hold the future of this nation, might be able to operate in an environment better than ours.
The National Security Advisor, Major General Mohammed Babagana Monguno, whose message was delivered on his behalf, advised Nigerian youths to guard against the use of fake news on social media to propagate violence.
Security is a collective responsibility. So, every group in Nigeria, especially the youths, have the duty to ensure that we maintain a peaceful electoral process in the country.
To send words to all Nigerian youths, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, that a vote is not for sale.
What we seek to achieve is to see a situation where Nigerians move beyond tolerance to peaceful coexistence.
The theme is towards peaceful participation of Christian and Muslim youths in 2019 general elections in Nigeria. Lydia Odije Ochi, NTA News.
A former head of state, General Absalami Abubakar, says all stakeholders in the electoral process must be committed to entrenching virtues of nationalism, non-violence, equity, and fair play in the nation's democratic governance. General Abubakar, who delivered a speech during the 2018 annual Distinguished Senior Executive Course 40 of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, said every citizen has a duty to not sell his or her votes, but use it wisely to vote for candidates of their choice. Ikechukwu Oha completes the story.
In a backgrounder to political developments in Africa, especially the West African sub-region, where elections have always been tension-soaked, often characterized by insecurity. The guest lecturer, while tracing the genesis of insecurity and electoral violence in Nigeria, blamed it on the dysfunctional colonial system of governance, which entrenched divide and rule that was skewed to favor the interest of British colonial masters and not the interest of the Nigerian state.
This situation makes nonsense of the whole idea of a liberal democracy where the people are suffering because of their ability to elect and bring down governments with their franchise, freely exercised without any force or inducement.
Tracing possible solutions, the former head of state calls on all Nigerian citizens to utilize the power of their voting instrument instead of blaming the leadership. He concluded with recommendations that fewer number of political parties should be organized, describing the 91 political party structure as confusing and unwholesome development, adding that a robust electoral law should be designed to ensure fairness to all political stakeholders. Goodwill messages from the Deputy Governor of Plateau State, Professor Sonny Tioden, the NIP's Acting Director General Jonathan Juma, and the Bongwan Jos, His Royal Majesty Jacob Buba, all extolled the initiative of the Institute for coming up with such a lecture at this time that the elections are around the corner. In Jos, Ikechukwu Oha, NTA News.
About 20 years since the Nigeria-Senegal Joint Commission was convened, the governments of the two countries have resolved to revive the commission as they seek to improve bilateral relations. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama, who is in Dakar, Senegal, says the two nations have a burden of leadership for West Africa and the continent at large. Foreign Desk Correspondent Makut Samuel Macham reports.
Diplomatic relations between Nigeria and Senegal go back to independence, and the two countries have continued to work closely. They set up a mixed commission in 1985, which first met in Lagos and then in Dakar, Senegal in 1999. Since then, the commission has not met again. This meeting between the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema and his Senegalese counterpart Sidiki Kaba is aimed at refreshing the commission and giving it new momentum.
Right through, so many other leaders have always worked very closely together and have always shown tremendous solidarity and a commonality of vision. A vision that they have always shared for Africa, for our sub-region, our bilateral relations, and a global vision.
As we have two countries who have good relationship, but we decide now we will meet before the end of the new year.
At a press briefing, the two foreign affairs ministers recalled the role Nigeria and Senegal played in restoring democracy in the Gambia and also spoke about the example expected as the two nations go into elections in 2019. Discussions during the meetings are revolving around trade, security, tourism and culture, transportation, among others. From Dakar in Senegal, Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
And you're watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. Prior to the establishment of TedFund scheme in 2011, government-owned tertiary institutions were poorly funded, hence the reason for an intervention mechanism. Despite this provision, we hear that some schools are lacking in accessing the funds, yet infrastructure deficit in tertiary institutions persists. You'll get to know more as we dig into the affairs of TedFund in our correspondence report up ahead. I'll be back in just a moment.
10 years ago, Globe predicted that the future lay in data. They decided to connect Nigeria to the rest of the world through their very own submarine cable. They laid a dedicated fiber optic ring around the country, seamlessly connecting to cities, suburbs, and towns. They created innovative, flexible, and highly affordable data plans. Soon, they had the largest growing network of new data subscribers in the country. Then, Glo launched 4G LTE, data so clear and so fast that it will transform the way Nigerians communicate, work, learn, and play. They can listen to millions of music tracks, enjoy thousands of movies, play online video games, and even watch live TV. Brought to you by the grandmasters of data.
Enjoy 25% more data when you auto-renew your plan. Your #1 4G network nationwide. Glo, grandmasters of data.
Hello?
Hi, Jenny. Can you supply 1,000 bottles of juice by noon?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, bye.
Hello?
One day, I go any store and say I want everything.
Jenny. Auntie, please, I need a loan.
One day, anything I want.
Hurry up.
Get it times 2. Someday, I'll be living.
Hello?
Clean that up. Clean that up. Because I don't get the money, you downgrade me.
The order is on the way.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, and the State Party Chairman of All Progressives Congress, APC, Alhaji Abdullahi Abbas Sunusi, on behalf of the government, state party executives, party members, and the good people of the state, cordially welcome the national chairman of APC, Comrade Adams Oshomole, and other national officers to a grand rally to welcome the campees from the People's Democratic Party and the Kwankwasia movement to APC. Date: Sunday, 25th November 2018. Venue, Sani Abacha Stadium, Kofarmata, Kano. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Among the high-profile decampees are gubernatorial aspirants, former state party executives, National Assembly, and State Assembly members, state party elders and stakeholders, former commissioners, and numerous well-known party members. You are welcome. Malam Muhammad Garba, announcer.
Department of Petroleum
Petroleum Resources, DPR, invites stakeholders in the Nigerian oil and gas industry to the 18th edition of International Health, Safety and Environment HSE Conference with the theme, Driving Sustainability in the Oil and Gas Industry Through Improved Stakeholders' Environmental Stewardship. Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, will give the keynote address, while the Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Dr. Ibe Kachiku, will be the chief host. Date, Monday 26th to Wednesday 28th November 2018. Venue, Eco Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. Guests are expected to be seated by 9 a.m. prompt. Announcer, Mr. Mordecai Babaladan, Director, Department of Petroleum Resources.
The Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Kichuku Inelama, wishes to inform the public that the 10th meeting of the National Council on Industry, Trade and Investment, under the broad theme of ease of doing business in Nigeria, the role of states and local governments, is scheduled to hold from Monday 26th to Friday 30th November 2018 at the International Conference Center, Umuahia, Abia State. Monday 26th November, arrival and accreditation of delegates. Tuesday 27th, technical session. Wednesday 28th, syndicate session. Thursday 29th, ministerial session. Friday 30th, departure. For further enquiries and registration, visit the website or contact Director, Policy, Planning, Research and Statistics and Deputy Director, Planning on these numbers. Mr. Edeth S. Akban, Permanent Secretary, Announcer.
This festive season, there's no place like home. Get a GoTV decoder and GoTenna and 1 month of GoTV Max subscription for only 6,900 Naira. GoTV. Live it, love it.
All right, now to the program proper. Quality education is one of the 17 global goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In line with the focus of the change agenda of the Buhari administration, Nigeria is putting all efforts needed to advance this cause. Yes, for the Buhari administration, education is at the center stage in redirecting the nation towards functional development of the people and economic prosperity. To this direction, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund is strategic in bringing back the lost glory of education in the country. TedFund correspondent Adu Adamu also has the report.
The Tertiary Education Trust Fund is an intervention agency of the federal government charged with the mandate of managing the 2% tertiary education tax paid by all registered companies in Nigeria annually. Presently, TedFund is intervening in 77 universities, 57 polytechnics, and 66 colleges of education owned by both the federal and state governments. Today, more than ever, the beneficiary institutions are experiencing a major turnaround in both operations, infrastructure, the superstructure, and human capacity development.
As part of the commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari to ensure the provision of quality education at all levels, I commissioned this library complex in the name of God and for the benefit of humanity.
And TedFund money is not one of the easiest monies to play pranks with because it's all given. You won't get the next tranche until you show proof how you use the last fund.
The changes have facilitated universities and other institutions to assess and properly utilize their allocations. In the past, there are some institutions that had backlog of unassessed funds.
Anybody who is in the university and the university chancellor can attest to the fact that there's transparency in what is happening now.
The result is that beneficiary institutions now get their intervention fund as at when due. TedFund, in consonance with the Buhari administration economic diversification drive, has come up in full force, indicative of his drive that business is no more as usual.
Perhaps our biggest ambition yet is the overhaul of our education sector.
As it is today, The annual direct disbursement got the highest ever allocation in history under the current administration, with each university receiving over 1 billion naira each in 2016 against the 335 million naira received in 2015. Polytechnics received 669.1 million naira each in 2016 against the 250 million received in 2015. While colleges of education got 679.6 million naira each in 2016 against the 227 million naira received in 2015. The academic staff training and development program geared toward upgrading the quality of academic staff in public tertiary institutions, with over 23,000 beneficiaries since the inception of the program in 2008, also got the highest allocation under the Buhari administration. Under the physical infrastructure development, the fund is changing the landscape of institutions across the country, with over 210 projects approved from January to September this year.
I had a meeting last week in Brazil, part of this TedFund thing that we went for. You have this feeling that you're being looked after.
I benefited from TedFund when I was the park to go and attend a conference this year, the International Association for Impact Assessment.
I was able to attend the International Sociological Association World Congress, which took place at Toronto, Canada.
We have a lot of people working, as you can see, mixed, the mason, laborer, iron benders, carpenters, so many Nigerians are benefiting from the project.
Ado Ademo also, NTA News.
Thank you indeed, Ado Ademo, for that report. Now, TedFund interventions in high institutions of learning across the country has been rated high in tertiary institutions in Anambra State, for instance, as a greater percentage of infrastructure and academic developments recorded as a result of the scheme. Let's hear from Ngozi Okekaro.
Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TedFund, is a scheme established by the federal government in 2011 to disburse, manage and monitor education tax to government-owned institutions in Nigeria due to poor funding of the sector. In Anambra State, where it was described as the life wire of infrastructures of learning, academic research and trainings, institutions such as Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Uli, and the Wariam campuses. TedFund projects include the pharmaceutical and engineering complexes, the biggest in the country, the e-library with over 250 computers, publication of academic journals and staff trainings, all made possible by TedFund.
In fact, TedFund lifted our university from glorified secondary school to real university. We always have yearly intervention and then the high impact intervention that gave us these 3 buildings I've shown you.
TedFund is a very strong backbone to the existence of this university. If you go around this very university, you will see that majority of the projects in place are TedFund funded. There are various programs of TedFund, and this university has happily benefited from that.
At the Federal Polytechnic, Oko, the acting rector, Dr. Izuchukwu Onu, said the institution has also benefited greatly from the Tertiary Education Trust Fund intervention programs, with projects at almost 100% completion.
The library here, well, that is one of the best projects we have so far enjoyed from TedFund. The virtual library is functional, and the reader section too, the books are there.
TedFund has sponsored over 150 staff in their AST and in their study programs, masters and PhD programs, both local and abroad. Over 100 staff have attended conferences abroad. A lot of staff have also benefited from academic research, which they now publish in journals. It helps in their appraisal during appraisal time.
Both institutions acknowledge the role Tertiary Education Trust Fund play in meeting up with the Nigerian University Commission's requirements.
They don't review their project. That's a major problem. In fact, it's a big factor that is hindering us from going further with our assessments.
For students' population and accreditation, however, not without challenges. With Tertiary Education Trust Fund and more financial support, it is expected that the education sector in Nigeria will, in no time, compete favorably with their counterparts globally. In Oka, Ngozi Okekaro.
All right, now, Renette Lott examines the impact of TedFund on some higher institutions of learning in Plateau State.
Established as an intervention agency under the TedFund Act 16 of 2011, it is charged with the responsibility of managing, disbursing and monitoring education tax to public tertiary institutions in Nigeria. To ensure that every Nigerian student in every public higher institution learns under a conducive environment, TedFund intervenes in areas like physical infrastructure, instructional materials and staff training. Vice-Chancellors of University of Jos and of the Plateau State University Bokos say their institutions have greatly benefited from such interventions, describing the schools as better learning environment because of TedFund. The VCs, while giving statistics of structures carried out by TedFund, explained how staff training has tremendously improved both the teacher and students.
In terms of infrastructure, we still need more. Library development, we still need more. ICT, we still need more. Staff training and development, we still need more. But they have done wonderfully well.
In addition to the infrastructure, the physical facilities, for us, we have so far since 2005 been able to send over 60 of our academic staff for various forms of training.
Various projects like lecture theaters fully equipped, conference halls, libraries and other facilities were seen.
Every department has a specific a place or class for learning.
Most of our lecturers have been sponsored by TedFund for PhD programs.
The plea, however, by these institutions is for more TedFund sponsorship and improvement on infrastructural supervisions. In Jos, Renette Silvanus Lott, NTA News.
Now, the infrastructural development brought about by the number of projects executed by Tertiary Education Trust Fund at the University of Maiduguri has further consolidated on achievements recorded in the area of teaching and learning. Abubakar Ibrahim Jodi now reports.
The provision of physical infrastructure and maintenance of projects commenced in the University of Maiduguri since the establishment of the institution in 1975. However, the university has over the years witnessed significant increase on physical infrastructure by management of the institution as well as through special intervention by Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TedFund.
University of Maiduguri wouldn't have been what she is today if it were not for the intervention by TedFund. TedFund has really done significantly much to improve on services, to improve on infrastructure of what we do in universities today.
The University of Maiduguri, according to the Vice Chancellor, ensures proper maintenance culture always.
We have our works maintenance department who carry out all the maintenance from time to time, electricity, plumbing issues, other issues that may have to come with probably the furniture and whatever. So we've been doing this one to be able to, because we are guarding this one jealously, because it's something we never knew it will ever come.
The funding of tertiary institutions across Nigeria through special interventions like that of TedFund has greatly facilitated the acquisition of academic excellence.
It's a kind of like help the students and both the lecturers to make it easy for them, like the aspects of the practicals, the laboratories, the ICT centers. It's also enhanced education. It makes the students like they have interest in doing more things.
It improves the teaching and learning of the students.
The intervention by TedFund in the University of Maiduguri has not only enhanced academic and non-academic activities in general, but has added value to the institution in no small measure, thereby making it to stand out among its counterparts across Nigeria and beyond.
All right, and that was Mohammed Musa there in our Maiduguri Network Center with that report. And that concludes our correspondence report on this edition of Weekend File. Now, well, of course, we have touched on issues of funding of tertiary institutions of education in Nigeria. Well, we still have one more report to go. As I was just told to take on the report from Lagos. Let's get to know what is happening with the TedFund in the universities in that area.
We'll be awarding entrepreneurship
certificate for our students, and it will be such that students that are able to develop something that can be marketed, they will get a graded entrepreneurship certificate. So we want our students to be able to develop something that even before they graduate, they will have started doing something and will get the startup grant for them.
This entrepreneurship center in the University of Lagos was constructed and equipped to avail students the opportunity to develop the requisite skills to be self-reliant or create jobs rather than add to the staggering unemployment figure.
In terms of, getting some of the equipment too, maybe required for that center, I would say that TedFund has been trying its best. Yes, we want TedFund to do more, especially in terms of what we're thinking about in the university, whereby we ensure that every student in University of Lagos is well trained in entrepreneurship knowledge. This comes with a lot of costs. It comes with the university investing in so many things, especially in the areas of software that will make this very easy. You understand? Module development, content.
The students say the facility has been very useful.
The facility that was built from the money gotten from TedFund has benefited all the students in various ways, because these facilities were built by the government or by TedFund, and we the students are the ones using these facilities, and it has been useful to us.
Yaba College of Technology is not left out in the TedFund intervention efforts, as the school's general library boasts of contemporary resources such as audiovisual materials, media equipment, electronic books and journals, as well as e-resource library, among other provisions.
TedFund has helped us in the areas of books, that is in the library, intervention as regards the library. They have helped us in our staff going to acquire higher degrees, masters and doctorate degrees. They have helped us in the physical structures. When you look around the campus now, you see buildings with a logo of TedFund. Then, of course, conferences and seminars we have enjoyed. They are tremendous assistance.
TedFund has continued to play a vital role in addressing the infrastructural challenges confronting the nation's tertiary education. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
And thank you, Jane. Our guest tonight on the program is Dr. Abdullahi Bafa Bichi, Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Fund. Well, we'll be talking in just a moment.
Hey kids, the holidays are over, but the excitement is still on. Draw what you did in your holidays and you stand a chance to win your dream holiday. Follow 3 simple steps to enter. Step 1, draw your holiday experience. Step 2, snap a picture. Step 3, send picture, name and address to the WhatsApp number 0902-588-8888. Hurry! Go grab your Indomie packs now. Offer valid till stocks last. Terms and conditions apply. Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
2019 elections are coming. Do not let yourselves be used by politicians. Do not allow your emotions go haywire. Do not be a tool to cause mayhem. No election matter is worth the destruction of lives and properties. Be wise. Don't be a violent Nigerian youth. Don't get involved in any act of violence. Your future is at stake. Shun violence during elections. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
My name is Mrs. Felicia Odunola Olojede. I'm living at Ibadan. I'm selling shoes at Oje in Ibadan here. I've been in this business from years ago. There is no government, no anybody that helped me to assist me in my market. But now I collected 100,000 from BOI program. I like the program. Now my business has been increased without any collateral, without any surety. I've returned the money back. I advise the federal government to continue with the program.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
All right, we now have our guest this evening, Dr. Abdullahi Bichi Bafa, Executive Secretary of TedFund. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you very much, Kiri.
Now, what makes TedFund of today remarkably different from what we used to have many years ago?
Well, thank you very much for this very interesting question. The first thing that I will say makes TedFund different is the leadership in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari came into power with the promise of change, and he took over the leadership of this country at a time when wrong was the new right, and changing that wrong to remain wrong and right to be right is what the change entails. And at TedFund, yes, at that time, wrong was the new right. Everything was going without due process. Things were happening that were really against the spirit and letter of the act that established TedFund. Things were happening against the spirit and letter of the guidelines, operational guidelines of the fund. And all we are doing now is to be guided by the law and also be guided by the financial regulation of the country, to be guided by the operational guidelines of TedFund. And I'm happy to say that all our beneficiary institutions, our major clients, have really keyed into the new thinking that for us to get our tertiary education institutions up and doing, for us to get our tertiary education institutions globally competitive, we have to be doing the right thing. And for us to be able to get optimal value for the money we are investing from TedFund in these institutions, we have to consider doing what is right. And I'm happy to say that majority of our beneficiary institutions are also following our law, they are following our guidelines. So I can summarize this by saying that discipline is one, control that we have on what to be done, how to do it, how to go about respecting the guidelines and law is two, and obviously commitment of both the staff at the fund and the staff at the beneficiary institutions that are handling our intervention activities are the things that have really bring about some remarkable change in the way things are happening in this country.
Now, talking about guidelines and law, which you raised a short while ago, how do all that concern the aspect of the inability of some institutions to gain access to funds that are available? Because, of course, you know, there has to be a prerequisite,
Precisely,
the guidelines to follow to achieve that.
Precisely, access was really a problem before we came on board, before the coming of this administration. Access to TedFund allocation was really a problem. But when we came, we realized that, yes, there is a huge communication gap between the fund and the beneficiary institution. So we conducted what we call the Access Clinic. It was a clinic designed to interface between the management of TedFund and the management of the beneficiary institution to determine what are the inhibitors, what are the constraints that are impeding these beneficiary institutions from accessing their allocation. And I'm happy to say that we're able to solve quite a lot of problems. So at the moment, really access is not a problem. Beneficiary institutions know what they have with us, and they know how to go about to draw down. And drawing down is based on performance, because we are running a performance-based disbursement intervention system. It is when you retire what you have collected, you have utilized it appropriately and retired properly, then we will be able to give you subsequent allocation. And that is why the performance index disbursement system that we are implementing is really helping us to get the results that we are seeing in the field. In all the beneficiary institutions, you're seeing all our projects as reported by your correspondents. Everywhere, you don't have abandoned projects, you don't have projects that is uncompleted, you have projects that are going on, you have projects that have been completed, you have projects that are being utilized, simply because you cannot draw down your subsequent allocation without completing utilization of the subsisting allocation and retiring appropriately.
Now, what does your monitoring mechanism look like?
Yes, we have, for every project, we visit it a minimum of 4 times. When we issue the first tranche for the beneficiary institution to commence the project, we do a snap monitoring visit where technical people from the fund will go and inspect the project at the foundation stage. When the beneficiary institution reaches first to utilize fully the first tranche, they are applying for second tranche, they will write, we visit the project again. While they're utilizing the second tranche, we do another snap visit, unannounced. We send our technical people, they go to the field, they go to the site, they do their inspection, they generate report, they send to us. When they finish utilizing the second tranche, they also write to us, inviting us for inspection and requesting for their final tranche. We visit before we disburse the final tranche. Okay. And when the project is eventually completed, they exhaust the final tranche, we visit the project again. So we visit all our projects a minimum of 4 times from start to start.
Okay. In a yes or no answer,
yes.
Is every institution of higher learning in Nigeria that is public, eligible to get the test fund?
No.
Okay, we'll get to that. But for now, let me take you on this particular question. Of course, we know that you're also extending your, intervention to NTA, that's the Nigerian Defense Academy, the Police Academy, and of course, I want to ask you if that is also extended to Army University in Bu, for instance.
Well, we have quite a number of tertiary education institutions, public tertiary education institutions that are security related or military and paramilitary based. The Police Academy in Wudil, the Nigerian Army College of Education in Ilorin, the Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna, the Air Force Institute of Technology in Kaduna, and recently the Nigerian Army University in Bu are all beneficiary institutions of TedFund. Of course, the most recent one is the Nigerian Army University Bu, which the Federal Executive Council has recently approved its establishment, and the Board of Trustees of TedFund has also recently approved its enlistment as a beneficiary of TedFund, and they will start enjoying our intervention activities with effect from the next intervention cycle.
Is there any guarantee of sustaining the tempo?
Well, obviously, yes, because the tempo is going to be sustained by 2 things. One, the quality of leadership that is being given to the fund. And 2, the quantum of education tax, because we live on tax. TedFund is only utilizing education tax that is collected, that is paid by companies operating in Nigeria. So if we are getting education tax, and the quality of leadership is sustained, we will be able to sustain this impactful intervention in all our beneficiary institutions.
Yeah, Dr. Abdullahi Bichi Bafa, I would like to thank you for being part of our program this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
All right, when we return, sport will be next.